It was Joseph, the man that endured much hardship and imprisonment, who said this: does not interpretation belong to God? Yet from the 1800s onwards, we've seen many organizations try to predict dates of the coming of Messiah. When Messiah was ascending to the Father, recorded in Acts chapter 1, the disciples said to him, Lord, are you restoring the kingdom to Israel at this time? And his reply was this: it doesn't belong to you. It's not your business, in other words, to get to know the times and dates. The Father has in his own jurisdiction. But you will be witnesses of me in all the earth. That's your job. Don't go predicting dates. And Paul said in Thessalonians, if you receive a letter or a verbal communication that the day of the Father is near and the return of his Messiah, don't listen to it. Wow. Now, I was a JW, Jehovah's Witness, for 40 years and raised a family in that cult, mea culpa. And one of the books I adored, I took book studies in it, was the Revelation-Climax book, you know, the red book. Loved that book. Until I resigned 3 years ago, when I looked at it in a new light, favourite term of the governing body, and I saw what a sham it is. A total sham. You see, let me give you an illustration here. In wars, in past times, messages were sent in code. Why? So the enemy could not decipher it. And Revelation has not been fulfilled in its entirety yet. And so many have tried to guess at it and put their interpretation on it. Some things have been fulfilled, but the majority not. Now, going back to the code thing, Peter says that into these things, the scriptures, angels, that include demons, are peering. They want to know what's going on. So it's been hidden. And yet, fleshly men have jumped the gun, especially Jehovah's Witnesses, interpreting a book under demonic influence, because no man could come up with that junk book, the Revelation-Climax book. Now we're going to look here at a video done by a channel called JW Media Films. Let me get this up. And we'll play this, and I'll put my commentary on it if I can get this up. Right, here we go. Go get rid of this first. Right. This ain't gonna work, is that one?
Today's lesson is from Revelation, its grand climax at hand. We will be starting on page 173 on highlights of Jehovah's trumpet-like judgment proclamation. 1922, Cedar Point, Ohio. And the first one blew his trumpet, and there occurred a hail, and fire mingled with blood, and it was hurled to the earth, and a third of the earth was burned up, and a third of the trees was burned up, and all the green vegetation was burned up. This trumpet blast corresponded to the 1922 Cedar Point, Ohio Assembly. And the second angel blew his trumpet, and something like a great mountain burning with fire was hurled into the sea, and a third of the sea became blood, and a third of the creatures that are in the sea, which have souls, died, and a third of the boats were wrecked. This trumpet blast corresponded to the 1923 Los Angeles, California Assembly. And the third angel blew his trumpet, and a great star, burning as a lamp, fell from heaven, and it fell upon a third of the rivers and upon the fountain of waters. And the name of the star is called Wormwood. And a third of the waters turned into wormwood, and many of the men died from the waters, because these had been made bitter. This trumpet blast corresponded to the 1924 Columbus, Ohio Assembly. And the fourth angel blew his trumpet, and a third of the sun was smitten, and a third of the moon, and a third of the stars, in order that a third of them might be darkened, and the day might not have illumination for a third of it, and the night likewise. This trumpet blast corresponded to the 1925 Indianapolis, Indiana Assembly. And the fifth angel blew his trumpet, and I saw a star that had fallen from heaven to the earth, and a key of the pit of the abyss was given him. And out of the smoke locusts came forth upon the earth, and authority was given them, the same authority as the scorpions of the earth have, and they were told to harm no vegetation of the earth, nor any green thing, nor any tree, but only those men who do not have the seal of God on their foreheads. And it was granted the locusts not to kill them, but that these should be tormented 5 months, and the torment upon them was as torment by a scorpion when it strikes a man. And in those days the men will seek death, but will by no means find it. And they will desire to die, but death keeps fleeing from them. This trumpet blast corresponded to the 1926 London, England Assembly.
Oh, wow. UK's mentioned there in Revelation. Kudos. Now, let's pause here on this JW Media film on Revelation book. If you read that book, this comic book, it says the locusts that come out of the abyss were the anointed Christians. Now, where in the Bible do you see the word locust used in a good way? And that gets worse. They said the king over them was what? The Messiah, who's got the name Abaddon in Hebrew and Apollyon in Greek. Let's continue with this joke. Hang on a second. Why isn't that playing?
And the sixth angel blew his trumpet, and I heard one voice out of the horns of the golden altar that is before God say to the sixth angel who had the trumpet, "Untie the 4 angels that are bound at the great river Euphrates." And the 4 angels were untied, who had been prepared for the hour and day and month and year to kill a third of the men. And the number of the armies of cavalry was 2 myriads of myriads. This trumpet blast corresponded to the 1927 Toronto, Canada Assembly. And the seventh angel blew his trumpet, and loud voices occurred in heaven, saying, "The kingdom of the world did become the kingdom of our Lord and of his Christ, and he will rule as king forever and ever." This trumpet blast corresponded to the 1928 Detroit, Michigan Assembly. This concludes the highlights of Jehovah's trumpet-like judgment proclamations. At this time, we'd like to remind you that approved association with Jehovah's Witnesses requires accepting the entire range of the true teachings of the Bible, including those scriptural beliefs that are unique to Jehovah's Witnesses. We'd also like to remind you that independent thinking comes from Satan the devil. To this day, it has been Satan's subtle design to infect God's people with this type of thinking. Please join us for a Bible study at your local Kingdom Hall. And remember, Jehovah will destroy those who do not change.
What a joke. What a joke. I mean, I love that book. When you take a step back, it's like coming out of a relationship. It's a damaging relationship, and you look at the comic book Revelation-Climax. How dare they do this? It's not been fulfilled yet. I'll add to this also Revelation 6, where the Watchtower says the rider on the white horse, who has a bow but no arrows, but they depict him with arrows in that book. They say that's the Messiah who came forth in 1914. Now the rider on the white horse in Revelation 6 is the Antichrist. The true Messiah doesn't appear to Revelation 19, does it? The sword out of his mouth. They have jumped the gun. Satan has formed these cults to put people off what? Following the true God. Cry wolf. If you're a JW, be honest. Look at this video and realize you have been scammed. Stop reading comics, please.